In this guide, I will explain everything you need to know about Farming Simulator 25 tractors. We will start by explaining all of these numbers and icons, and you will find these numbers available for all tractors of any size in any of the sections. The first icon that looks like a home, this will tell you how many do you have of this tractor. For example, we already own one of this tractor, and so you can see we have number 1 here beside the home. And you can confirm that at any time from the main menu by going here to the Finance tab and then go to Vehicle, and you will see everything you own in the farm, and that includes the tractor we were just looking at. The next icon indicates how many tractors do you have leased, if any. The first number here shows you how much horsepower does a tractor have. Sometimes it will have one number like this, which means this is the only amount of horsepower you can get from this tractor, and sometimes you will see two numbers. This means as you are buying your tractor, you can change the setup to increase or decrease the horsepower amount. 131 is the minimum and 171 is the maximum, which are exactly the two numbers we see here. Next, this will be for the type of transmission available for the tractor. And for the most part, this will not have that much of an impact at all. The only time this can have any impact is if you have the gear shift mode set to not be automatic. The next number indicates the capacity of the fuel for the tractor. And I will show you later where you can refuel your tractor from. The next number is the maximum speed of a tractor. And the last one is the weight of the tractor. And some of these numbers will have a big impact on the performance of your tractor, and I will show you that in a minute. There are generally three types of tractors. There are small, medium, and large. Small tractors, for the most part, will be the cheapest options you'll have, and they will be very good as a starting point. And depending on the field work you are doing, sometimes you must have a small tractor. Like for example, if you started getting into grapes and olives. Most of them will have the 3-point system attached to the front of the tractor. And also in some of them, you will have the option to add a front loader attacher like this. This 3-point system at the front can be useful when you're trying to attach some sort of a tool to the front, like a weight or for example mowers. And then the front load attacher is useful if you want to have a front loader. Having this loader will enable you to use many other tools that can be very useful depending on the job you're doing. For example, you have a pallet fork, you have bale spikes, and you will also have bag lifters. The downside to having a small tractor will be the horsepower, because for the most part it will only go up to about 150 or 200 maximum. And once you start growing your farm and using bigger equipment, the small tractors will not be able to keep up. And this is where medium tractors can be very useful. The prices are definitely more expensive than the smaller ones, but they are still within an acceptable margin. They offer a wide range of horsepower options, and most of them will be able to keep up with you for a long time, even as you grow your farm and use bigger equipment. Once more, most if not all of them will have the 3-point system at front, and they will also give you the option to add a front loader to the tractor or not. The medium tractors will be able to do most of your work without any issues, whether it is using things like cultivators for example, or pulling tractors behind you to sell products at selling points. Large tractors on the other hand, they are much more expensive, and you should really only use them when you are in need of a lot of horsepower. The range of horsepower you will have available here will be much higher than the small and medium tractors. And so these are mostly reserved for heavy field work, like when you are pulling for example very heavy trailers with maximum load capacity. Most of the large tractors will not have anything up front, and you will not be able to attach weight or mowers for example, because once more they are basically reserved for heavy field work. But in some cases it will still allow you to put a weight up front, and I will still explain what is the benefit of that as we go. In some of these large tractors, when you are choosing your tire setup, you will have the option to either have normal tires or you can also have crawlers. So now let's say you have settled on a tractor you want to buy, and now we need to set up these options. So I will explain to you what each of them mean. The first one, engine setup. This will be only available in tractors that will have two numbers like this in the horsepower, because remember, this basically means this is the minimum and this is the maximum. So by changing the setup here, you can gradually increase your horsepower until you reach the maximum. And of course, you will do that only based on your needs, and again, I will show you later how you can decide that. From here, this is the wheel brand, and I don't think this makes a huge difference in terms of performance. They are mainly for aesthetic reasons. Wheel setup will control what your wheels will look like. You will always have standard available, and then sometimes it will offer the option to add weights to your wheels, which will be another way to increase the weight of your tractor, which can be important in some cases, and I will explain that later. Wide tires are useful if you need more traction and grip. So for example, if you are pulling a heavy equipment and you are noticing a lot of wheel spinning, then maybe it's time to change to wide tires. But keep in mind that if you have crop destruction enabled, then wide tires will cause more harm to your crops than others. Narrow tires, this is mainly when you are trying to prevent crop destruction, or you are trying to reduce the width of the tractor a little, and it can also allow you to maneuver your tractor a little bit easier. Sometimes you will also have an option for twin wheels only at the back or in front and back. This is again mainly to provide more traction and grip if you notice that you are struggling with your tractor to pull some loads. And of course, this is also going to have an impact on crop destruction if you have that enabled. For medium and large tractors, sometimes you will have front mounting options. It can either be 3-point systems, which will allow you to carry some equipments up front, like mowers for example, or you can add weights, which of course will increase the overall weight of your tractor. For large tractors, you will have pretty much the same settings, but the only exception is that sometimes for the wheel setup, you may have a crawler as one of the options as well. And the difference between having crawlers and normal tires is that they will give you much more traction and grip and control. So if you have crop destruction disabled, crawler are generally the best option for wheels. But of course also keep in mind that they will be most likely the most expensive. So now let's talk about how to choose the right tractor for you and pay only exactly what you need to pay for the job you want to do. When you are buying any of the equipments you will put on the tractors, you will also notice these numbers below. They are pretty much the exact same. This is how many you own, this is how many you leased, and this one will tell you the horsepower. This is the minimum recommended requirement for the horsepower on your tractor. So for example, if we are going to buy this cultivator, make sure your tractor will have at least 110 horsepower. You can also have a tractor with about 10 or 20 less horsepower than this, and it will still most likely work okay, but sometimes it will struggle to go up hills or reach maximum speed by a little. So if you want the maximum performance out of the equipment you are using, make sure your tractor will have the minimum required amount. The next piece of information here is the weight of the equipment we are using. Your tractor also needs to be at minimum more than this number. So once more, in our example, this cultivator is 1.4 tons, and so when you are selecting your tractor, make sure its weight will be more than this. So to show you a practical example, let's say we are going to buy this cultivator. The minimum requirement is 150 horsepower and its weight is 1.9 tons. So we can start from the small tractor section and we keep scrolling until we see a horsepower that is close to the amount we need, which remember was 150. And so for example, this class tractor can meet the requirements. Its weight is also higher than the equipment we are using, which is very good. And this is where this weight options when you are setting up your tractor before you buy it can be very important, because you always want to make sure that your tractor will be heavier than the equipment you are buying. When you are pulling trailers with your tractor, as a general rule, you want to see the capacity of the tractor and then multiply by 10. So for example, the maximum capacity of this trailer is 8 cubic meters. And so if we multiply by 10, it means your tractor must have at least 80 horsepower to be able to pull this trailer without struggling too much. And if you will buy this trailer with a capacity of 19.6, then you will need a tractor of at least 190 horsepower. Now keep in mind that this number is again the minimum requirement, which means for the most part, it will be able to pull the trailer even if it's at maximum, but it may still struggle a little. So to be safe, always try to add a little bit more. So if you have a tractor of 210 or 220 horsepower, that will be much better. Now let's talk about general maintenance for the tractor. On the bottom right corner, you will see two bars. The orange bar is the amount of petrol you have in your tractor. And as you can see in our example, we're almost out and we need to refill. The easiest and fastest way to refill is actually from the farm itself. You will see this icon around your farms, and this icon indicates that it's a place where you can refuel from. And you will see this small tank right beside your shed. If you drive to it, and then we press R by default, now we can refuel. However, at the beginning, it will not have any diesel in it. And so we will need to buy that first. To do that, just interact with this wrench icon right beside the tank. And then you want to refuel the tank itself. And now you can refill your tractor. You can also go to the shopping menu by pressing P and then go to construction. And then from here, you will see container. And you will have other options that you can put also around your farm to refuel from. The difference is mainly going to be in the capacity of the fuel they can carry. Keep in mind that the starting fuel tank I showed you that was already on your farm is only available in Riverbend Springs. For the other two maps, you will need to buy these tanks and put them in your farm. Another thing you can do to save on the fuel cost, go to the main menu and then go to settings and then in-game settings here, scroll down a little and you will see something called fuel usage. You can either set it to low or high or normal. And so if we have the usage set to low, it means you will not have to refuel as often, which will end up saving you some money. The second blue bar represents the condition of the tractor. If this bar is too low, you may notice that your tractor is starting to struggle pulling the equipment and the trailers as it used to, which means you need to start repairing it. In all maps close to the shop, you will find a repair place where you can repair your tractors. In Riverbed Springs, this is the blue building here. You will find these yellow marks, just put your tractor inside them and then interact with the wrench icon. And here you will see an option to repair. Depending on the type of your tractor and how good or bad its condition is, this price may be very high. And so we will click repair, and that will restore our tractor and get the condition up to 100%, and it should be able to perform as it used to. Repaint will not do anything performance-wise. This is 100% for aesthetic reasons. In the second map, Hutan Pantai, just go to the shop, and right beside the store, here is the repair place. Here are the yellow markers as I showed you before, and here is the wrench icon you can interact with. And in the third map, again, go to the shop, and here is the shop, and then you want to go back here. Here are the yellow markers to put the tractors in. And here is the wrench icon to interact with. Another thing you can do is from the shop menu, go to the last tab and then construction. And then from tools, you will find a vehicle workshop. It will cost $45,000, but once you put it on your farm, you will now have a workshop right at your farm. This is where you are going to park your tractors, and here is the wrench icon to interact with to repair. Anytime you want to sell any of your tractors, take it again to the workshop, put it between the markers, and then interact with this icon. And from here, you can just sell the tractor directly. Of course, you are going to sell it for less amount than what you have bought it for. You can also repair and restore its condition to 100 before you sell it, and you can also repaint, but you will notice that the cost for the repaint, especially if it has a lot of wear, this will cost a lot. And throughout my testing with many tractors, I have noticed the following. When you sell a tractor, you will make the exact amount of profit whether you are going to sell it before repair and repaint or not. I don't know if this is how it's intended to work or if this is a current bug. You can also sell by opening the main menu and then go to the Finances tab, go to Vehicles, click on the tractor you want to sell, and then click on Sell. It will cost pretty much exactly the same. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if you found this guide helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel to see more guides for Farming Simulator 25. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next guide.